No foods on the planet are as medicinal as herbs and spices, and remarkably, they taste amazing. So why wouldn't we want to use them? Herbs and spices don't need to be for sophisticated taste buds only, and it's great to start our little ones on them early. So other than that packet of taco seasoning you're used to using, do you really know how to utilize spices? What herbs to add to which foods? This, my friends, is a quest that chefs play around with every day. It's something the young cook couldn't begin to fully understand, as it takes tasting and trying and messing up and succeeding countless times until you realize the parameters of adding herbs and spices. So if you are overwhelmed in this department, you're not alone. And if you feel like you don't even know where to begin, let's take a few steps in this direction together. I first must say that if you're already using lots of herbs and spices, carry on. Maintain the traditions of our ancestral foods and respect the beautiful flavors of the country of each one represents. If I could study one aspect of food for the rest of my life, put me in an herb and spice class and I'm a happy girl. But for those who don't know the difference between parsley and cilantro, and for those whose spice jars are limited to crushed red pepper for your pizza and a pepper mill, then we need to talk. The best way to get familiar with herbs is to purchase them fresh, and the two most available ones to do that with are parsley and cilantro. Keep in mind, in most grocery stores, there are two different types of parsley, curly leaf and flat leaf, also called Italian parsley. And I'm not too concerned about which is your preference. Parsley is loaded with minerals, including calcium, magnesium, and so many more. In its fresh form, it also packs in antioxidants, fiber, and vitamins into a simple leaf. If your child loves rice or mashed potatoes or plain pasta, adding chopped parsley is a great compromise to making it a nutritious meal. For the picky eater, you don't want to go too big too fast. So back to where we were speaking about basic techniques of putting one simple tiny leaf of parsley on their pasta and gradually adding more and more as they become accustomed to it. In general, parsley is great for European and Middle Eastern meals, whereas cilantro is used more for Asian, Indian, and Mexican meals. From here, you can move on to other fresh herbs, such as making pesto with basil, sprinkling fresh oregano onto your garlic bread, and enjoy the wonderful diversity of thyme that goes on just about everything. Fresh makes a difference in both nutrition and flavor, so whenever possible, buy fresh herbs. Another staple in my home is a magic green sauce recipe that's from one of my favorite food bloggers, Minimalist Baker. This sauce is highly adaptable with many different types of herbs, and you can make it spicy or leave out the jalapeno and make it very mild. The reason this food is so amazing is that you don't need to consume much to reap the benefits. The concentration of antioxidants and minerals in herbs is astounding. So if you are someone who's really challenged by something green, having just a tablespoon of the sauce can be just as nutritious as a full serving of vegetables. A simple rule of thumb is that if you're incorporating herbs into your meals, you sprinkle them on the top for garnish, or you add them to a water-based food like soups and pasta sauce. You can add herbs to hot oil, but you really decrease the nutritional content in doing this because they are more fragile than spices. When you're working with spices, it's a completely different rule. So a little bit of oil or fat is what really will help them release the flavor from the spices oils. They are much more hearty and they need some heat really in order to burst open their flavor. Let's talk about spices and the wars that have been fought for them. They medicinally heal and change our food into unique, culturally diverse meals. Most countries use spices as a base for all of their foods. I have seen 5-year-olds in other countries use spices with more purpose than most American adults. But in fairness, most countries that are not as a diverse melting pot of different nationalities, they have a handful of spices that they rarely go without in their culture's cuisines. Whereas in the United States, we're a melting pot of cultures. Now we find ourselves with spice cabinets that need the Dewey Decimal System to navigate. That's kind of an inside joke because my dad did that for my mom's spices. He was very organized, and most of you probably have no idea what the Dewey Decimal System is. So let's move on. So here's the dilemma for that somewhat adventurous or not so adventurous cook. What spices do I need? And here's my answer. About 10, maybe 5, but humor me and get 10 because I think when you get in the habit of adding them, you will find flavors you didn't even know you like. So am I saying just get 10 spices? No, I'm saying get 10 spice blends. Mexican, Chinese, like 5 spices, Italian blends, za'atar, maybe some Moroccan spices, maybe some curry blends. Get a couple because there's so many. Certainly there are more, but I urge you to have fun with it. And remember, there are spices for sweet foods also. Cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, which cardamom is, I feel, is one of the most underrated and underutilized spice that there is. These are just a few of spices that add nicely to puddings and pies, but also to pancakes and freshly baked apples. Spices do lose potency each year, so keep using them and purchase them in small quantities until you find the ones that you love.